Several planes took off and vanished without a trace. No wreckage. No survivors, no answers. Tonight, we uncover the most chilling mysteries of planes that disappeared from the sky. And the shocking truth still hidden today. If you think one of these vanishings is the most mysterious, drop its name in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. More true mysteries are coming. Part 1. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. March 8, 2014. A Boeing 777 with 239 people on board takes off from Kuala Lumpur. It was supposed to land in Beijing. But within hours, the plane vanished. No distress call. No confirmed wreckage for years. Just silence. Here's the shocking truth. The biggest mistake wasn't just the disappearance, it was the failure of global tracking systems. Modern planes send signals, but at that time, no unified system was watching every flight worldwide. Authorities lost MH370 simply because there was no mandatory real-time tracking. And the result? Millions of dollars spent, dozens of nations searching, and still no full answers. Families left without closure. Rumors of hijacking, conspiracy, or even military cover-up spread only because technology and coordination failed. What science tells us? In 2016, a report in the journal Nature confirmed that the few pieces of debris found on the shores of the Indian Ocean matched MH370, proving the aircraft did crash. But the precise location remains unknown because ocean drift modeling wasn't integrated into the early search. The lesson? When governments delay adopting satellite-based real-time tracking, we get tragedies like this. Today, ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, has made continuous tracking mandatory, but it came too late for 239 people on MH370. Part 2. Flying Tiger Line Flight 739. March 16, 1962. A Lockheed Super Constellation takes off from Guam. On board are 93 US soldiers and 11 crew, heading toward Vietnam on a military mission. Hours later, the plane disappears from radar. What made this case different? Unlike other vanishings, Flight 739 was not a civilian flight. It was a classified military transport, which meant communication was restricted and details were hidden from the public. That secrecy became the biggest obstacle to solving the case. Witness accounts: at the same time the plane was expected over the Pacific, crew on a Liberian tanker reported seeing a massive mid-air explosion. They described it as a bright flash that lit up the night sky. Yet, no official wreckage was ever recovered to confirm their testimony. The search: the US military organized one of the largest searches of its time, covering over 200,000 square miles. Nothing was found. Families were given no answers. And because of the mission's classified nature, many records stayed sealed, feeding suspicion of sabotage or a cover-up. The takeaway: Flight 739 is not just another mystery of the sky, it highlights how secrecy and delayed transparency can erase truth. Aviation historians believe that if civilian tracking and faster open reporting had been used, evidence might have been recovered. Instead, 104 lives vanished into official silence. Part 3. Amelia Earhart. July 2, 1937. Amelia Earhart, the most famous female pilot of her time, sets out to circle the globe. With her navigator Fred Noonan, she departs from Papua New Guinea toward Howland Island, a tiny speck in the Pacific. She never arrives. The critical mistake? This wasn't about technology failing in the air. It was about navigation limits. Radio communication was weak, the Coast Guard ship waiting near Howland couldn't lock onto her signal, and Earhart's aircraft wasn't equipped with advanced long-range radio direction finders. In other words, she was flying blind across one of the most remote parts of the world. The consequence? Instead of silence in the sky, there were fragments of radio messages. Earhart's voice was faint, breaking up, saying she couldn't see the island and fuel was running low. That detail makes her case painfully human. She wasn't swallowed without a trace, she was desperately searching for land. Theories and evidence. Over decades, fragments of aircraft aluminum were found on Nikumaroro Island, about 350 miles from Howland. A 2018 forensic analysis even suggested that bones found there in 1940 could statistically match Earhart's measurements. Yet, no official conclusion has been accepted. The lesson: Amelia's disappearance wasn't caused by conspiracy or cover-up. It was the deadly risk of early aviation. Limited tools, vast oceans, and tiny targets. Her story reminds us that even the most skilled pilots can be defeated by the sheer scale of the Earth. Part 4. The Stardust and AMP, the STENDEC Mystery. August 2, 1947. British South American Airways Flight 242, nicknamed Stardust, departs from Buenos Aires towards Santiago, Chile. 5 crew, 6 passengers. And one of aviation's strangest final messages. The mistake that changed everything. The aircraft was flying across the Andes Mountains, an area notorious for unpredictable weather. Pilots trusted their instruments, but aviation historians later concluded they likely miscalculated their altitude in heavy snowstorms. In other words, they thought they were clear of the mountains, but they weren't. The bizarre transmission: minutes before its disappearance, the pilot sent a final Morse code, STENDEC, repeated 3 times. No one knew what it meant. Was it an abbreviation? A distress call? A hidden code? To this day, STENDEC has never been conclusively decoded. The discovery: for over 50 years, no trace of Stardust was found. Then in 2000, glacial melting in the Andes revealed wreckage and human remains, finally confirming the aircraft had crashed into a mountain. Investigators determined a deadly combination of severe weather, miscalculation, and poor visibility led to the tragedy. Why it still matters: even with the wreckage found, the STENDEC code remains unsolved. Linguists, pilots, and cryptologists have all offered theories, but no explanation is universally accepted. This case shows how one small error in navigation, combined with the mystery of an unexplained final word, can turn a routine flight into a legend of aviation history. Part 5. Egyptair Flight 990. The controversial crash. October 31, 1999. Egyptair Flight 990 departs New York for Cairo. Minutes after reaching cruising altitude, the Boeing 767 suddenly dives into the Atlantic Ocean off Nantucket, killing all 217 people on board. What made this case different? Unlike other vanishings, wreckage was recovered almost immediately. The mystery wasn't about where the plane went, it was about why it went down. The investigation split in two. The U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, concluded that the relief co-pilot deliberately pushed the plane into a steep dive. Egypt's Civil Aviation Authority rejected this, arguing that a sudden mechanical failure caused the disaster. Two governments. Two explanations. No agreement. The black box data, voice recordings captured the co-pilot repeating a prayer phrase as the plane descended. The control inputs showed deliberate movements on the controls. Yet, no clear motive was ever proven. For families, the conflicting reports only deepened the pain. The lesson: this wasn't a case of lost wreckage, it was a case of psychology versus engineering. When investigations are divided by politics, the truth can remain as hidden as if the plane had vanished completely. Flight 990 reminds us that sometimes, the greatest mystery isn't the disappearance itself, but the human factor behind it. Part 6. Helios Airways Flight 522. Europe's Ghost Flight, August 14, 2005. A Boeing 737 takes off from Larnaca, Cyprus, bound for Athens. 30 minutes into the flight, controllers notice something strange. Radio calls go unanswered. Yet the plane keeps following its route as if nothing is wrong. What really happened? The cabin's pressurization switch had been left on the wrong setting after maintenance. As the jet climbed, oxygen levels inside dropped dangerously low. Within minutes, passengers and crew slipped into hypoxia, a condition where the brain shuts down quietly from lack of oxygen. The chilling sight, Greek fighter jets scrambled to intercept the ghost plane. Pilots flying alongside reported a surreal scene, oxygen masks hanging, the captain motionless, and passengers unconscious. In the cockpit, only one man, a flight attendant with partial training, was still moving, trying desperately to take control. He ran out of time. Why this case shook aviation? The jet stayed on autopilot for over 2 hours until fuel ran out and it crashed near Athens, killing all 121 on board. Investigators concluded the accident was caused by a chain of human errors, a missed checklist item, weak crew training, and delayed recognition of pressurization problems. What changed afterward? Airlines worldwide upgraded warning systems, improved crew hypoxia training, and tightened maintenance protocols. Helios 522 forced regulators to acknowledge that one small technical oversight could silently doom an entire flight. Part 6. Vanished. Forgotten. But never explained. From Amelia Earhart's final radio calls, to MH370's unanswered signals, to the eerie silence of Helios 522, every one of these disappearances tells us something different. Sometimes the cause is technology failing. Sometimes it's human error. And sometimes, it's the simple fact that the sky and the oceans are still far bigger than our ability to control them. Here's what matters. Every unsolved case forced aviation to evolve. Real-time satellite tracking after MH370. Stronger search coordination after flying Tiger 739. Better hypoxia training after Helios 522. These lives weren't lost for nothing, they reshaped the way millions travel today. But one thing remains, for the families, no technological upgrade can replace closure. That is why these mysteries still haunt us. They remind us that progress always comes at a cost, and sometimes, that cost is written in names. And flights that never came home. If one of these stories shocked you the most, type its name in the comments. Let's see which mystery the world still remembers most. And if you want more real stories like this, subscribe. Because we're uncovering the hidden truths behind history's biggest mysteries.